What up, y'all? You're listening to Sports Talk with Tropp, and I'm your host, Katie Tropp. Well, before we get into things, I did just drop another promo video for my upcoming video, EFL for HickTib, which backwards is bitch for life. That's a shout out to NWA. If you know, you know. But just dropped the promo video on Thursday. Going to be dropping the music video next Thursday. So you can check out the promo video on my website, katietrop.net, or on my official YouTube channel, youtube.com/katietrop. So let's get into the week of sports. I'm pretty much touching all bases this week on sports because it's fucking fantastic that now that sports fan purgatory is pretty much over, now it's just going to be non-stop fucking sports talk. And I literally am covering just about every single sport today. So strap on in, folks, because it's going to be a good one. So let's get started with baseball. And the week that was this week, beginning on Monday, we had as a pitcher's duel between the Atlanta Braves and my San Francisco Giants, and it went 10 innings, and it was a battle between Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves and Blake Snell of the San Francisco Giants. These two guys, you could not score on either of them, and they were just striking motherfuckers out. If you know what a pitcher's duel is, that is what this game was. I mean, shit. Like I said, the Braves didn't win until the 10th inning when Travis d'Arnaud, he had a sacrifice fly for the game-winning run. But Chris Sale, he ended up going 7 innings with 12 strikeouts. Blake Snell ended up going 6.1 innings with 11 strikeouts. The two of them just dominated. Like I said, it was real difficult. You were not scoring on either of them until they got taken out of the game. That was pretty much it. And hell, even when they got taken out of the game, it was real difficult for these guys to score, and it was an amazing game, other than my Giants losing. Then on Tuesday, the New York Yankees smashed the Chicago White Sox 4-1, and Juan Soto did something in his career for the first time ever. And it was he hit 3 home runs in one game. He actually accounted for 4 RBI. Yeah, that's all 4 runs on the board. Juan Soto scored all of the runs for the Yankees. And I believe he's only like the 4th or 5th player. He's very few players have ever done that, been the only guy to score all the runs for your team in one game. So, I mean, if you didn't think Juan Soto wasn't good to begin with, well, shit, he hit 3 home runs in one game, and I kind of feel like you don't want to get that started. Then on Wednesday, we're talking Yankees again. Yankees smashed the White Sox 10-2. But what was very notable in this game, Aaron Judge hit his career 300th home run. He is the youngest guy to hit the 300 home mark. I fucking love Aaron Judge. If I haven't said it enough, this dude is so fantastic to watch. He is so goddamn good for the game of baseball. And just to see what he's been doing with his career, it is fantastic. He just really needs the rest of the Yankees around him to get them to the playoffs, because we have really yet to see what Aaron Judge could do in the postseason and see him at least make a World Series run. So hopefully the Yankees could get it together this year. But hands down, Aaron Judge is the most difficult out to get. He has been getting the Barry Bonds treatment a lot this year by getting walked because you throw to this dude, he's pretty much hitting it out of the park every single time, it feels like. So Aaron Judge, career home run number 300 under his belt. And then Thursday night, the Philadelphia Phillies got a rare win, and I say rare because that is rare for them these days, but they did get a good win too, 13-3 over the Washington Nationals, but that wasn't really the story of the game. The story of the game is they just called up rookie Weston Wilson, and he hit for the cycle. So, hey, good for the Phillies need any type of hope right now. And to get your rookie to hit for a cycle, that's one of the rare things in baseball that you could do. It's just very difficult to do. And rookie walks right up into the game, and on one of the best offensive teams, at least for the most part this season. The Phillies have been really slumping as of late, but I mean, overall, they still can produce a lot of offense, and rookie Weston Wilson looks like he fits right in by hitting for a cycle last night. So let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff picture right now as it stands in baseball. In the American League, the number one seed still would be the Cleveland Guardians, who right now hold the lead over the American League Central with the Minnesota Twins 4 games back. Then in the East, Baltimore and the New York Yankees right now are still tied for the East. They basically keep going back and forth every single day, but right now Baltimore technically has the lead over the Yankees. And then in the American League West, the hottest team in baseball right now, their name is the Houston Astros. They have won 8 straight games, and they currently hold a 3-game lead over the Seattle Mariners for the American League West. And the wild card teams right now would be the New York Yankees, the Minnesota Twins, and the Kansas City Royals. So that American League Central is really holding it down for the postseason, at least at this point in time. And then turning to the National League, the number one overall seed would be the Philadelphia Phillies, who hold the top spot in the National League East. They have a 7-game lead over the Atlanta Braves right now. Then in the West, we have the Dodgers, who have a 2-game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are probably the second hottest team in the league right now. And they are, them and the Padres, they are making it spicy right now for the Dodgers. The Dodgers better not act like they got this division on lock, because both Arizona and San Diego, they're technically tied, but Arizona has the lead, so that's why they're there. But the Dodgers better watch out, because those two teams are hot, and they got a lot of talent, and they got a lot of depth. And the Dodgers have pretty much just been battling through the injuries. Their starting pitching hasn't been that good. Of course, Ohtani has been the shining star for them, and then they did get Mookie Betts back this week. So they did finally get one of their big offensive runners out there back in Betts. But right now, the Diamondbacks and Padres are right on that ass. And then in the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers have a 4-game lead over the Cincinnati Reds. And then the wild card would be the Arizona Diamondbacks, the San Diego Padres, and the Atlanta Braves. So that's how we're looking in baseball. Then just a couple of things in NFL this week. Unfortunately, we are not going to see rookie J.J. McCarthy start at all this season for the Minnesota Vikings, because unfortunately he tore some knee ligaments and he is out for the season. So we're definitely not going to see him play at all. I thought at some point we would see him because Sam Darnold, while he's a pretty decent quarterback, he's not a reliable quarterback. So I pretty much expected J.J. McCarthy to step in at some point this season at quarterback. But it looks like that will not be happening at all due to the knee injury. And then the other NFL news is Matthew Judon, the defensive end of the New England Patriots. He's been having a contract dispute with them basically since the beginning of training camp. He started training camp, and then all of a sudden he just stopped showing up. And we really had no idea what was going on. He did say he wanted a new contract, but we just couldn't really tell what was going on. Is he going to get traded? Is he ever going to show up? Whatever. Well, it turns out he is now traded. He has been traded to the Atlanta Falcons, which I think is a huge upgrade for them, because if you don't know, Matthew Judon is one of the best defensive ends in the league. This guy is a beast. Unfortunately, he's suffered some pretty debilitating injuries over the last couple of seasons, or, throughout his career, but overall, when this guy's on the field, he is a force. So Atlanta definitely got an upgrade there. The New England Patriots, though, they had such a terrible season last year. I hope New England fans don't expect to even have remotely halfway a good season this year, because now you just traded away basically your best player on the entire team. So have fun, Patriots fans. You got another long season ahead of you, I guess. All right, and now we have some NBA news, because yesterday the NBA announced their 2024-2025 schedule. So let's talk about a couple highlights that we have coming up this season, beginning on October 22nd. That is the first opening night of the 2024 season. We get the New York Knicks at the Boston Celtics, and we get the Minnesota Timberwolves at my Los Angeles Lakers. So starting the season off right. Oh, by the way, haters, the Lakers have the most nationally televised games this season. Isn't that odd? It's never happened before, right? No, it's pretty much the par for the course, but I know it pisses people off, and I'm happy with it, because I get to see more Lakers games since I live out here in Texas. Anyways, NBA season starts off October 22nd. The Christmas Day games, those are always notable games because that's technically when the season really gets going. And we're going to get the day started off with the San Antonio Spurs versus the New York Knicks. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Dallas Mavericks, the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Boston Celtics, the Lakers versus the Golden State Warriors, and rounding out Christmas Day with the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. Then Martin Luther King Day, we get a triple header between the Dallas Mavericks and the Charlotte Hornets. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Memphis Grizzlies, and then the Boston Celtics versus the Golden State Warriors. Rivals Week is going to be January 21st through the 25th. If you don't know what that is exactly what it sounds like. Basically, the Lakers are going to be playing the Celtics. You know, if you're whatever rivalry your team has, that's going to be going down January 21st through the 25th. Then we also have it's going to be the second year of the NBA Cup. That's going to be running from November 12th to December 3rd. Last year, the Lakers were the first-time winners of this stupid thing. I mean, it is nice because it definitely raised a bit of the competition throughout at the beginning of the regular season because, like I said, most things in the NBA don't get going until Christmas Day. I feel like that the in-game tournament definitely drew a little bit more attention, made the players play a little bit more hard. And we did have some really solid matchups in it. So it turned out to be better than I thought it was. It's still gimmicky and kind of stupid, but I did like that the players really played hard in this. So that's going to be going from November 12th to December 3rd. And then we have some international games this year as well. They're going to be in Mexico on November 2nd. That's going to be a game between the Miami Heat and the Washington Wizards. And then we get 2 games in Paris, one on January 23rd and one on January 25th. Both of those matchups are going to be between the Indiana Pacers and the San Antonio Spurs, which makes sense because if you don't know, Victor Wembanyama is from France. So that should be a pretty decent draw for them. And this is going to actually be the first time NBA basketball is going to be played in Paris as well. So look out for that with the upcoming NBA season. And then we also have a big fight this weekend, UFC 305, for the middleweight belt. The champ belt holder right now is Dricus du Plessis. He's got a 21-2 record. He's going to be going up against Israel Adesanya with his 24-3 record. Now, Adesanya's lost a couple recently, but this dude has been one of the top dogs in the game, and his last 2 losses were to Pereira, and Pereira's pretty much owned Adesanya even back in the day when they did kickboxing together. So you can't really hold those last 2 losses against Adesanya, but if he does lose this, it kind of makes you go, does he really have a shot at being a champ anymore? I'm a big Adesanya fan. I've always enjoyed his style of fighting. I also like du Plessis. The guy is just, he's just watching this dude punch motherfuckers to death. It's just crazy. He's a fun fighter. So this is definitely going to be a solid matchup. It's actually kind of a weird matchup in my opinion. I don't really think the two of them match up well against each other. Adesanya is definitely more known for his ground and pound and getting people to submit, while as du Plessis, he's a knockout king. Not saying he can't get the ground and pound going as well, but it's going to be an interesting matchup. Adesanya is actually favored over the champ, so that shows that Vegas still has hopes for him because, like I said, his only recent losses were to Pereira, and Pereira is just kicking everybody's ass right now in the UFC. So you can't, like I said, can't really hold it against Adesanya. If he loses this one, like I said, it's going to be difficult to look at him and go, you got a shot again. He might be on the downside of his career. But with that being said, I'm going to go with what Vegas is going with. It might just be because I like Adesanya and I'm a big fan of his, but I feel like he still got it. And du Plessis, he's been a guy on the rise, and he's just been kicking everybody's ass lately. It kind of feels like it might be that time for him to be stopped. But I expect this to be a good match between the two of them. I feel like I said, if it goes hand-to-hand combat, I feel like du Plessis, he's got the win. If it goes to the ground and pound, I would go Adesanya. And for some reason, I'm just going Adesanya. I think things are going to go his way. And I'm going to go 3rd round submission by Adesanya in this one. And then just a little bit of other UFC news, and it's more of I told you so news because I called this way back when they canceled the original fight. But Conor McGregor will not be fighting in the UFC at all this year. What a shock there. And quite frankly, I don't think he even needs to be brought back. I get why they want to because he has a huge crowd draw, but the dude's done. He's not going to come back and be the old Conor McGregor who used to kick everybody's ass. He might win, but he's not going to be the same Conor McGregor. You can act like he's going to be, but I'm sorry. Not only has he suffered some really terrible injuries along the way, but he's old now. You can act like he's not, but he is. And I'm sorry, usually things don't work out. And I feel like the majority of even setting a fight for Conor McGregor is more just hype, more just for them to talk about it, and more it's probably not going to happen. All right, and moving on to the list this week, I decided to I'm gonna do some fun lists over the next few lists that I do. I'm going to do this week Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants. And I'm going to do my favorite Cowboys and favorite Lakers as well. Those will be the next ones. But I decided, no, it would be a good idea to just kind of rattle off on my favorite players throughout my life. Guys that I've just always been, they're the reason why I like the sports that I like. They've given me great memories over the years. And so since it's baseball season, even though the Giants are terrible this year, let's start it off with my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants. And I was able to find 10. At first, I was like, am I going to do just 5? But then when I started to kind of compile the list, I was like, wait a second, this is going to be easy to put together 10. So here we go. I decided to do 10. So my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, beginning with number 10, that would be Brian Wilson. He was the closer for the San Francisco Giants from 2006 to 2012. By the way, I'm only going to be discussing these guys' San Francisco Giants career. A few of them did have spend their entire careers with the Giants, but a lot of them did end up going somewhere else or began somewhere else in their career. I'm not going to be talking about that time. I'm only going to be talking about my San Francisco Giants memories. Because Brian Wilson, unfortunately, ended his career as a Los Angeles Dodger, which was just weird as fuck because the Dodgers are our rival, but you got to do what you got to do. But anyways, Brian Wilson was one of the most dominating closers when he would come into the game in his days, in his heyday. He won a couple World Series with us. He won the 2010 World Series, which was the first time the San Francisco Giants had ever won a World Series in San Francisco. And so there's just like, I just remember him closing out the last game of the World Series, and he's right there, Buster Posey running at him like, holy shit, we just won. But you always knew when Brian Wilson would come in that it was going to be lights out. It was always difficult for anybody to score on him, and he was Mr. Reliable. He also had that big ass beard. He was just he was just kind of a weirdo who would just was kind of an out there guy, but you just loved his weirdness. And I most of all loved when he would come into the game because you knew chances are ain't nobody scoring on Brian Wilson. Then at number 9 on my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, Pablo Sandoval. He played third base from 2008 to 2014 and then came back for another little stint with the Giants from 2017 to 2020. He was the World Series MVP in 2012. And what I loved about Pablo Sandoval, he was so reliable. When he came up to the plate, it wasn't just home runs that he would crush, but he was able to get guys home. He was always able to get on base. And he just was a real, especially in that 2012 season, man, like that playoff run, he just was so reliable. That's why he was the MVP of the World Series, because he made so many clutch hits. And he just every time he came up to the plate, you knew that some chances are something good is going to happen when Pablo Sandoval, the Panda, because that's another great thing about him. That was his nickname, the Panda. I mean, hello, who doesn't fucking love panda bears? But Pablo Sandoval, one of my favorite Giants. Then at number 8 on my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, Jason Schmidt. He was a starting pitcher for the Giants from 2001 to 2006. Another guy who ended his career as a Los Angeles Dodger, just very fucking weird for me. But Jason Schmidt was one of the most reliable pitchers we had at this time. The Giants were actually a pretty competitive team throughout the majority of this time he was there. They even went to the World Series in '02. And it's just Schmidt. He was so hard to score on. He would go toe to toe with some of the best pitchers in the game. And I just would love when he would pitch because I knew chances are we're getting the win. And even if it was a close one, if Jason Schmidt's in the game, things are probably going to be a good outcome. Then at number 7 on my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, Matt Cain. He was a starting pitcher from 2005 to 2017. He threw a perfect game back in 2012. As a matter of fact, 2012 was a really solid year for him, but he threw the perfect game in 2012 versus the Houston Astros on June 3rd of 2012. The Giants won the World Series in 2012. He was a part of the first 2 World Series teams, the 2010 and 2012 teams, and he was just a strikeout king. I mean, talk about like guys who are real difficult to score on. Matt Cain would just come into a game and it would be so quick too. Most of his games were pretty quick. But it was just, he was such a reliable pitcher, especially at the beginning of his career. At the end of his career, he just suffered so many injuries. 2005 to 17, that's a long-ass career in baseball, especially for a pitcher. But like I said, once he started to get to his last few seasons, especially like the last 3 to 5 years of his career, it was just injury-riddled. But for the most part, man, Matt Cain, he came up with the Giants. I remember when he first started with the Giants. I remember he even had some stints in the bullpen as well. But he was just such a reliable pitcher, and he showed out when he could in the playoffs. And I loved when Matt Cain would come into the game. Then at number 6 on my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, JT Snow. Played first base from 1997 to 2005. He just was such a reliable last player, and it also didn't hurt that he was a fine-ass motherfucker as well. JT Snow, hot as hell, and not only was he a great player, but I couldn't help but be excited when he would come up to bat for numerous reasons, and one of them being he was fine as hell. Then at number 5 on my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, I have Will Clark. Played first base from 1986 to 1993. And for me, that is really where my San Francisco Giants fandom began. I used to watch Giants games with my Aunt Dale, and then also my grandma and my grandpa. They were Giants fans, so that's kind of how I became one. I just, would watch games with them all the time. And then also, I collected baseball, basketball, and football cards growing up. And when it came to baseball cards, I always wanted Will Clark or Nolan Ryan. If I were getting baseball cards, a pack of baseball cards, I remember my Aunt Dale actually had this amazing baseball card collection, and she had a huge collection of Will Clark and Nolan Ryan ones, and I loved all of them. I actually do still have those cards because she died years ago, but so of course I took them on. But Will Clark and Nolan Ryan, those were the baseball cards I wanted. And so for me, Will Clark was where it all started. He was the face of the Giants basically in those late 80s, early 90s. He was one of the most reliable players on the field. He's just one of the most reliable players, hands down. Every team he went to, he was just one of the top guys. But Will Clark holds a special place in my heart just because he is where it all started for me. Then at number 4 in my Tropp 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, Tim Lincecum, starting pitcher from 2007 to 2015. What I loved about Tim Lincecum is when he started and he came up, the Giants sucked ass. The only good thing about the Giants for a long period of time was that Tim Lincecum would come into the game and just smash motherfuckers. This guy won the Cy Young 2 years in a row, 2008 and 2009, and the Giants sucked fucking ass. But yet every time he would come into the game, boom, it would be a win. And he would just strike motherfuckers out. That's what he was really known for. So just his straight up domination. And I remember Tim Lincecum's another dude. I remember when he came up. I remember the day he started. And watching him, it was so great once the Giants got to the World Series, because to see a dude like him who never complained about being on a losing team, he would just go out, do his thing. He never requested a trade. He never was like, this person's wrong, this coach is wrong, this manager sucks. He never had an issue. He would just go out, pitch, and do his thing. And when the Giants won all three of their World Series, 2010, 2012, and 2014, he was a part of all those teams. Now, the 2010 season, he had a dominating playoff run. I mean, from start to finish, he just killed motherfuckers. Then the last couple of World Series, there was even a point he was in the bullpen, just coming in at relief. But still, he went hard. And he just was I loved Tim Lincecum. Loved him. Just because, like I said, I have so much respect for him for coming out and being the best pitcher in baseball on the worst fucking team in baseball. So shout out to Tim Lincecum for giving me something exciting to root for in those really down years. Then at number 3 on my top 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, Buster Posey. Played catcher from 2009 to 2019, took the 2020 season off, and then came back for 2021. Hands down, one of the greatest Giants ever. One of the greatest catchers ever. I mean, he pretty much has every accomplishment you possibly could have at the catching position. He was a great hitter. He was a great catcher. He was great defensively. He was great offensively. He was a leader of the team. And he was always, these Matt Cain and Tim Lincecum, these guys that I've rattled off at pitching, Brian Wilson as well, Buster Posey is a huge part of why they were so good. And I guarantee you they would say the same thing that I just said about Posey. He is one of the greatest to ever do it. And when he comes up for voting in the Hall of Fame, and we already know, if you don't know, I hate the Baseball Writers of America. They are such cunts when it comes to letting people into the Hall of Fame. Buster Posey is one of those motherfuckers who better be unanimous. I know they don't like to do the unanimous thing, but I'm sorry. There are zero reasons why you should be voting against Buster Posey in the Hall of Fame, because this guy checks every single box, and he was good from the start. He even won Rookie of the Year, okay? So he's been good since day fucking one. The only reason why he petered out at the end of his career is due to injuries. So that's most careers at the end of the day. But Buster Posey, hands down, one of the greatest to ever do it. Then at number 2 on my top 10 favorite San Francisco Giants, Barry Bonds. Played left field from 1993 to 2007. He was such an exciting player to watch. Just watching him smash home runs out of the park. And yes, I know, steroids, blah, blah, blah. I will reiterate with the steroids thing. Yes, they absolutely cheated, but at the end of the day, it was completely encouraged by every single level of person in baseball, from the owners to the managers to the trainers to the players to every aspect of baseball. I'm sure even the agents and all of them were in on it too. So to me, I have no issues with people, putting asterisks or even mentioning Barry Bonds and steroids or Roger Clemens or all the guys in this era. But I mean, it's really actually difficult to find guys from that era who weren't tainted by steroids. So to me, it doesn't bother me as much. But I wouldn't be, if you're a person who hates Barry Bonds and all those guys in the steroid era because you think they ruined the game, I can't argue against that, because technically they kind of did. But then you look at a guy like Aaron Judge and you go, that just goes to show how fucking great that guy is, because he's doing what they did without the steroids. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, Barry Bonds, to me, I loved watching him come up to bat. It was exciting every single time, and it would piss you off every single time once they would walk him. It was just always the 4-finger walk. There would be some times where even Barry would know, oh, great, I'm getting walked. That's just how dangerous he was at the plate. I will never forget the season he hit 73 home runs in 2001. I actually remember watching the moment with my grandma because we knew it was going to happen. And we knew it was happening any day. And I remember we were like, holy shit, he just did it. And then when he also, his career home runs are 762, which is also the record. And just watching him go on that run was just something else. And it was fun, and I just really enjoyed his time as a San Francisco Giant. And regardless of the whole steroid thing, it just is what it is. That was the era of baseball, and I don't hold it against them as much as others do. But like I said, can't argue with you if you have issues with those guys from that era. But you should then also have issues with the owners, with the managers, and there's also other players right along with them who maybe didn't even get caught. But if you got issues with the players themselves taking the steroids, you need to have issues with every member of Major League Baseball in that period of time, including the commissioner as well. An asshole who is in the fucking Hall of Fame, but none of the steroid era guys are. Such hypocritical bullshit. But anyways, let's get to my number one favorite. Top 10 favorite San Francisco Giant. Number one, with a bullet. There is nobody I love more than Madison fucking Bumgarner. Madison fucking Bumgarner. Mad Bum. Love number 40. Starting pitcher from 2009 to 2019. This is another guy right there with Brian Wilson, Matt Cain, and Tim Lincecum, who I remember his first day. I remember his first start. And I remember he started off kind of meh. You didn't really know what you're going to get from the dude. But as his career went on, this guy became the ace of this. And he would go toe-to-toe. He and Kershaw, back in the day when it was Giants, Dodgers, and they were on the same playing field. They were both good, battling it out for the division. And you've got two of the top-tier pitchers, Bumgarner and Kershaw, going up against each other. It would be beauty. But what I love most about Madison Bumgarner is the 2014 season, but most notably the 2014 playoff run. This dude basically won the World Series all by himself. Don't get me wrong. This Giants team was pretty damn good, obviously, made it to the World Series. But this guy, he knew he was on some. He knew he was the best player on the field, and he made sure every time he started a game, he was that dude. But he even came in relief to win Game 7. He was the 2014 World Series MVP and the NLCS MVP, and that's just because he absolutely obliterated everyone. In this playoff run, he went 26 and a two-thirds scoreless innings, which broke a 90-year record. That would ultimately end up going 32 and a two-thirds inning when he would finally get scored on in Game 1 of the World Series. But basically, in the World Series against the Kansas City Royals, who were also a damn good team at the time, Bumgarner pitched in Game 1, got the win. Game 5 was a complete game shutout. Now, when I tell you that this motherfucker dominated this playoff run, it was so hard to score on him. You knew every time Bum was coming up, it was confidence to the highest degree. So Game 7 rolls around, and he even says, because this is just 2 days, he's pitched in Game 5, a complete game shutout. He went all 9 innings and pitched like a motherfucker. Game 7 rolls around 2 days later, and he even says in his press conference, if they need me to come in for a relief role, I'm ready to do it. And that gave me such goosebumps because I knew this dude, like, he was making the playoff run of his life, and he knew if it comes down to it, I'm going in there and I'm going to be that dude. And Madison Bumgarner was that dude. Game 7, 5th inning, Bum gets the call, and it's a close one too. I mean, I think the Giants had like a 1-run lead, 2-run lead. It was close. That's why we had to get him in there. And this guy came in and you could not score a run on him, and he literally won the 2014 World Series for us. It was one of the greatest runs ever. And I will never forget when Buster Posey goes running at him at the end of that game. And I'm like, if anybody else is the MVP of this game, that's blasphemy. Now, of course, like I said, he won the MVP of that World Series as he should have, because he did that all. That was Bum carried the Giants throughout that entire playoff run, and it was magic. He only gave up one run in 21 World Series innings. One run in 21 innings of the World Series. That is how crazy Bum was. I also love his attitude. He's a badass motherfucker. And I just always loved him. He was always, he just was actually doing an interview with the Giants broadcast over the weekend because they were celebrating the 2014 World Series, which was the 10-year anniversary. I was like, shit, 10 years. That's the last time the Giants won the World Series. But he was doing an interview, and it was just like, man, I wish you could go right back out there and pitch. Now, I know he's not what he used to be, because also the end of his career was marred by injuries, as I keep saying. Most of them end that way. But, man, I loved Mad Bum. I loved Mad Bum. I've got me a Mad Bum jersey. I'm going to be getting me a Mad Bum tattoo, because I have tattoos dedicated to all my favorites, sports athletes of all time. And I've already got an Aikman one. I've already got a Kobe one. Actually, I have two Kobe ones. I have a Vince Young one. And I have an idea that I'm going to do for a Madison Bumgarner one. So, yeah, I love Madison Bumgarner. He gave me some of the best memories, just watching this guy come up and just mow everybody down. But those are my top 10 favorite San Francisco Giants of all time. So, yeah, I mean, and that's just favorites. Obviously, this is not a GOAT list. This is just all guys who made me a Giants fan, whose careers I watched coming up, or just where it started for me with Will Clark. It's just, these are guys, and there could have been more. I left so many guys off the list that I just really enjoyed watching, all my 39 years of life. But there you have it, my top 10 favorite San Francisco Giants of all time. So enjoy the weekend of sports, y'all, and I will talk to you on Monday.